We're live. Good morning. Wherever you're watching from, you can just put it out down in the comments. I'm speaking here from Lagos, Nigeria. This is Formula for Everyday podcast, and it's a very rainy day in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm so glad that I'm getting to do this live. I'm also sorry that I am coming late for this live, and that's due to some things that happened this morning, which I'm going to be sharing with you. I mean, this is what I need to share with you this morning. You see, like you can see from the topic of the life, act first, feel later. I even woke up a little bit late from my usual wake up time. I was supposed to have gone live by 5 a.m. West African time, but this is almost 8 a.m. West African time. But the reason being because I felt like sleeping in today. I mean, I've been working very hard throughout the week. It has been a pretty much eventful week, busy, and I've been doing a lot. And I just felt like sleeping in today. And this is not because I didn't get enough sleep, because I mean, I sleep really early. I mean, I sleep as early as 8 p.m. But I just felt like sleeping in, because it's the weekend. But I didn't feel like actually doing this life. I didn't feel like doing any of my morning routine, the things that really gets me set for the day, planning my day and all. But I had to push myself, okay? I had to push myself to get up. It was just the voice of laziness that was telling me, just resting a little. It's just today. Do you understand? But I needed to get up. I needed to push myself through self-discipline to actually show up for this life today. And I'm so glad that I'm doing this. So what we're talking about is act first, feel later. Your action is what leads to feeling. But most times people want to put emotion before action. We've spoken about how action is what brings about results. That's what we spoke about the last few days. So now I'm talking about the feeling, because the truth is that your feeling is actually a very important part of your it's actually a very important part of your psyche. It's an important part of your inspiration that gets you to do what you are meant to do. But action is meant to come before feeling. You know, people feel inspired all the time, to do stuff, but it's the self-discipline that you need to build. You need to focus on what you can control, because the truth is some days you feel good, some days you feel great, and some days you won't. But when you set a system that will help you to always do what you're meant to do, because it's action that eventually helps you to feel better. Now, so I saw this quote. It said, when you act the way you want to feel, you feel the way you are acting. When you act the way you want to feel, you feel the way you're acting. This is because your action precedes the feeling that comes with it. Because when you begin to tell your mind, when you begin to tell your brain that, okay, this is the way I want to feel. I mean, because for every action, there's a feeling tied to it. So when you begin to act the way you want to feel, you will definitely begin to feel the way that you are acting. So it's very, very important, because we may hope to do better things tomorrow, but the best things are done today. And when you understand that by your action, by what you do today, you are able to create the results that will make today the best day of the year, then you begin to act according to the disciplines that you've set for yourself. Okay, so I also realized this important principle through exercising. For a couple of years now, I've had a consistent exercise routine where I show up every single day to exercise. But most times I don't feel like exercising. I mean, this is a very short routine of almost 10 minutes. But whenever I want to, when I spread my exercise mat and want to start exercising, I don't feel like it. But I have to push myself, because I always feel better after exercising. There's a reward system in the brain. Apart from the endorphins and the dopamine boost that I get in my brain, I always feel fulfilled. When I act the way that I want to feel, I begin to feel the way that I'm acting. So it's very important that you take this into consideration. You need to act first, then feel later. Most times, as the human condition is that you feel. I mean, and there are different factors that can actually trigger you to feel bad. I mean, you could wake up in the morning and just feel ungrateful, perhaps because of the kind of nutrition you have. And this is what a lot of people don't realize. Your nutrition can affect your mood. The nutrition you have, perhaps your brain needs some hormones like the dopamine and endorphins to make you feel better. But if you have a discipline in place, that's the difference between having goals and having systems, because systems is self-discipline. If you're able to discipline yourself and push yourself to be able to do what you are meant to do in spite of how you feel, then you will definitely feel better. Okay, so it's you setting out that you are going to do what you are meant to do in spite of how you feel. Then you start seeing that your mood will begin to change. Like I've always said, always remember this: we may hope to do better things tomorrow, but the best of the best things are done today. You see, I just want to, encourage you this morning. I want to encourage you this weekend. In spite of how you feel, be very, very resolute that you are going to hold on to your systems. Those systems that you've set out, that self-discipline, the self-discipline that you set out for yourself, that in spite of how you feel, even if the heavens are going to fall today, you're going to do this particular thing that you set out to do. And you see that when you start doing it, that feeling of inspiration, that feeling of, feeling good basically begins to come. Even as a video editor, I've been editing videos for a couple of years now. But most times when I get a gig or when I have work to do, I really feel like doing it. But once I open up the software and begin to move my mouse, somehow everything just begins to come together. Now, you must understand that your feelings are affected by a couple of factors. We have hormonal imbalance, we have nutrition, we even have exercising. I mean, this is why I begin to link all these things up, because if you are consistent with exercising, it helps your brain chemistry to be balanced. It helps you to feel better. You need to look for ways that you would act in order to be able to feel good, to do what you are meant to do. Okay, the reason why I have a morning routine, I mean, for some people, what works for them is they just enter the day formless. But I have to wake up at a certain time, because I learned from Grant Cardone that one of the best and sweetest victories of the day is to wake up early, to wake up very early, to beat the sun up. That's the best and the first victory of the day. To wake up early, you beat the sun up. And when you get to beat the sun up, then you now begin to make a list of what you want to do every day. And this is what I do every single day. I make out a list of what I want to achieve in the day. After I make my list, then I begin to work towards it, starting with the most difficult tasks. And before noon, I've done almost half of what I have, or even more. Most times I even complete all I have to do, the major things I have to do in a day before noon. And this is due to the fact that I promised myself that I'm going to act before actually, whether I feel like it or not. Okay, so this is a very important lesson for you to learn today. Thank you very much for the people that just joined. You can just drop a comment in the comment section to tell me where you're watching from. So this is a promise I've made to myself, that I'm going to act in spite of how I feel, because it's through action that you actually get inspired to do what you are meant to do. Okay, so it's very important, because being productive is a matter of willingness to act. It's a matter of willingness to do what you want to do, and that's where systems comes to place. When you are confident in the systems you've built, because you've set out a number of disciplines that, in spite of whatever happens in a day, you are going to achieve those things, then it becomes very easy for you to achieve your goals and your objectives. So I also have to say this about confidence, because confidence is something that people think other people that feel confident are born with. But the fact still remains that if you act confidently, you actually feel confident. If you act like you know what you are doing, you actually begin to look like you actually know what you are doing. Okay, and this is not from a place of ignorance, it's from a place of beating that fear of limitation, that fear that ties us to our feelings and our natural impulses. Okay, you need to act like whatever it is you want to achieve. Most times what happens is, even when I have a discipline, like maybe listening to a podcast or maybe reading a book, because I know that with what I want to do, especially in the space of public speaking, I have to study a lot of books, and but most times I don't feel like it. But I have to open those pages of the books and start reading. While I'm reading, I'm taking down notes, I'm writing, and before you know it, the feeling starts coming to place. Okay, so it's very important for you to put all this into perspective. You need to act first, then the feeling will follow. Okay, it applies to every single area of our lives, and as you continue to practice this, you start seeing that you are getting better at what you are doing. So I just want to encourage you this morning that act the way you want to feel. Act the way you want to feel. When you act first, the feeling will definitely come. And I remain your host, Lawrence Nkwocha. This is Formula for Everyday podcast, where I get to share, personal development tips that will help you every single day, to get better, to grow on a personal level. I'm also going to go in live again this evening by around 5 p.m. West African time. And I hope for you to join in. If you have questions that relate to personal development and growth, I would be more than happy to engage you, and answer your questions to know, to provide my own perspective on what you would need clarity on. So until I come your way again, I remain Lawrence Nkwocha, and bye for now.